Hello, we are live now on Maniac Sports, and I know some of you people have met my special guest today. I want to give a great welcome to Vincent Ottenweiler, good friend of mine and Jim's, uh, and actually, he's a Bears fan. Hey, yeah. So
Good
I mean,
start.
and hey, me, Val, Vince, we're all gonna go through see the Bears live and the Lions New Year's Day. That will be great. Compliments of Dr. Detroit. And there's going to be a special tribute on the big screen to Jim. Okay, I'm going to give the floor to you now, Vince. How about them Bears?
How about them? I mean, they lost today, but still, out of 4 games, I mean, look at the production that the offense is putting together. They've really opened up Justin Fields. They've let him do what he is able to do with his athleticism. He's running the ball. He's out of the pocket. He's moving, and his completion rate. I don't think it was great, but I mean, out of 4 games from what they started with at the beginning of the year, outstanding. I think the Bears gave away a lot with the defense. I mean, you had the Lions that went 14 points on answered points like right now.
Right.
They put the Lions right back in the game and gave them a chance to win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the ideal situation for the Bears. They don't have a defense. I mean, they gave up 2 of their key players. I mean, yeah, I kind of expected where we're at, but you still have other guys stepping up and doing their thing. I mean, so we got a lot of young players and a lot of growth, and I think that they're going to continue to grow, and I think it's going to get better. Next year, I think we're going to see a whole different Bears. I think Poles was right when he said he's going to take over the NFC coming up. I believe it. I mean, he's right. He's making all the choices, and they're looking good. Besides, we just talked off air. I mean, the Bears got a dubious honor, the first NFL team to get 29 points and lose 3 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's great.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like how the Lions were at the beginning of the year because the Lions we had top rated offense for like the first 3 games, and then it started going downhill from there because we didn't have the defense to go ahead and complete what the offense was. So because hey, we lost a lot of close games at the beginning there. Uh, I remember we were crying for like one stop where the defense stopped them just one time, But now, one thing I want to say as far as for, you know, that battle between Akuda and Justin Fields, I mean, hey, Akuda got the best of him one time, but what did Justin Fields do right after Akuda got it and ran it back for that pick six? Justin Fields went ahead and ran it down the other way and got a damn touchdown for the Bears. So
That's how good he is. I
yeah,
mean,
I mean that just shows exactly.
he is that quarterback, and I think he is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But see, the differing tale here is there's a tale of 2 things: the beginning of the season and where we are now with Justin Fields, and it's the same thing with Detroit. You took Aiden Hutchinson. Your defensive coordinator needs to know how to use him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our offensive coordinator, he had enough sense to open up Justin Fields. And the last 4 games, you've seen what has happened.
Right.
He's doing a job. They need to do that with Aiden Hutchinson. They've got a great defensive player in Aiden Hutchinson. They're not using him. They're
Mm-hmm.
moving him everywhere and catering to none of his strengths. He is a disruptive player. He was in college. He can be in the NFL. But again, you've got to have somebody that's using him. I mean, these are old ghosts that Detroit's dealing with. I mean, they did the same thing with Barry Sanders, and he has no NFL Super Bowl ring to go for. Again, use your talent. Because the Bears, I don't want them to fall in that same line, and they're not. Somehow we got a coordinator that has got some smarts in him, and he's using that player the way they should be. So
I'm gonna bring
hopefully,
Jeremy B in too. Okay,
what's that?
I'm gonna bring Jeremy in too. All right, I'll be yeah. Uh, all right. You can keep talking, Vince.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that the Lions are going to use Aiden Hutchinson better than they're using him?
I think you're starting to see a little bit because the last couple games he has really kind of showed up. He had that touchdown against Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And he did get a sack today against Fields. So I do think that they are starting to. I mean, maybe with Aubrey Pleasant being gone now, maybe that's what's doing it.
Yeah, because they got to really use him. I mean, because honestly, I mean, short of me being a Bears fan, I mean, I can appreciate good players and good talent. I mean, and Aiden Hutchinson is one of those good players. I mean, I watched him play for Michigan. I watched a lot of his games and how good he was. And I don't really want to see him go to waste when he's just that good of a player. I mean, he's a disruptive player, and if we can do that, we're good.
Good evening.
Good evening. Maybe that's what's doing.
So you were talking about Hutchinson, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's see. He had 6 more pressures today, so that gives him a league lead. For all the rookies that are out there, that gives him a league-leading 28 pressures. He had another sack, so that's at 5.5. That's leading the league for all the rookies, too. He has an interception, which none of those defensive end rookies have. So how are you saying that we're not using him correctly? Because I want to hear this, because we've moved him around everywhere to see what was starting to work. And now that he's been using as a stand-up and the 2-point stance, it's working more.
That's what I'm saying. They got to keep him there. I mean, they weren't using him at the beginning of the season. They weren't doing nothing with him.
No, we were so injured on the D-line, he had to play D-line because we had nobody else.
Well, yeah, and you could be, you can be where we're at. You just give away all your defensive people.
Hallelujah, we didn't.
No.
No, we gave up Hockenson, who still has yet to get a touchdown for Minnesota, and everybody's crying about it. And all 3 of our tight ends have scored touchdowns in 2 games.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
And we got a second round and a third round for a 4th.
Yeah. Have you met Jeremy before, Vince?
Oh, I don't know if I have.
Okay.
I believe we've talked before through chats or whatever, but I don't think we've ever met. Nope, this is the first time I've been on a podcast with him, and he's evidently a Bears fan, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Because he said he was talking about trading away the defense, and you're absolutely right. I was like, they're screwing themselves. They got their toughest run of opponents where they need that defense coming up, and I wasn't including the Lions in that.
Yeah, but you look at the business side of it. I mean, they've done themselves a lot of good favors. They have a lot of draft capital, probably more than anybody else. I mean, look at all their cap space. I mean, they're setting up for next year, and I really do trust Poles. I mean, if you take a real close look at where Kansas City was at.
It still makes me think, with the lack of addressing in the draft, the O-line in the wide receiver room early, that Fields may not be that guy. I'm just saying, because he looks like a better runner than a quarterback still. Today was one of those days. He was 12 of 20, 167. Yes, he had 2 touchdowns, but he threw a pick 6 to Jeff Okudah, of all people.
Yeah, but you look at it, that's the first pick 6 he's thrown in 4 games. So from where he was at the beginning of the season to where he is now, there's a huge improvement. He's actually running. He's actually doing what he needs to do. When he's out of that pocket, when he's moving and he's mobile, he's making good judgment. He's getting that ball down the field. He's getting yards. I mean, he's doing what he has to do to move those chains. And I think if the Bears keep going that direction, I think they'll be okay.
The best part of winning today was for the Lions is we don't have to look at C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young on mock drafts anymore.
But you couldn't use it. You couldn't use C.J. Stroud, though.
Yeah. But the funniest thing, last week I went ahead and I said, in my prediction, I predicted that the Packers were going to lose by 1 point. I didn't give a score or anything. I just said the Packers are going to lose by 1 point. Well, this week, I guess my premonition was wrong because it was the Bears that actually lost by 1 point.
As soon as I saw the missed extra point and we were down 13 at the time, I said, watch, that's going to make them lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I knew that. I knew that was bad. When that one came up, I'm like, this is going to be it. Somehow this is going to cause us a big problem at the end, and it did.
Yeah, I mean, I I saw it 100% happening. I mean, there was still 12 minutes left in the game at that time, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good for them." And everybody in my chat is like, "Why? We're just going to blow it." I said, "No, you watch. Something big's going to happen on the defensive side of the ball, and it's going to swing this game." And that's exactly what happened.
It did.
Yep.
And and the Bears did not hold their defense. And what defense? They don't have anything to hold the Lions with.
Oh, they were doing decent. They held us to right around 100 yards rushing, which
they could still do better. I mean, they could.
They could have kept us at 72 instead of giving up 28 yards in the fourth quarter, I guess.
Well, I mean, they could have got some takeaways. They didn't get no takeaways that they should have gotten. I mean, there's a lot of things they could have cleaned up.
There was two they should have had. That where they hit the defenders in the hands, but there's a reason why they're corners and safeties. It's because they couldn't make it as wide receivers.
Yeah,
I mean that's usually how it works, isn't it?
True. They got the speed, but not the hands.
Right. I mean that's the rule of thumb when you're in high school. That's when you learn this. Okay, you're going to be better batting the ball away than catching it, so stay there. I found that out early. I'm not going to lie.
Wow. Did you happen to catch the and not to get off the game that we're watching, but did you happen to catch that the end of the Minnesota game?
Oh yeah, I watched the whole thing. I was rooting against Minnesota the whole time. How do you root for a division rival?
Right, exactly.
You can't.
That's like saying, all right, yeah, we want to stay in the basement. I want the Bears to win today.
Right. It was so.
But that being said, if Dallas wins, you realize you guys aren't in the basement yet, right?
Oh, I know we're not in the basement.
It'll be Green Bay, and it'll be falling exactly like I said it would. It's just Minnesota got there quicker than I thought. I thought they'd be pulling into it towards the end of the season because I said it would start the opposite. Minnesota would start slow and Green Bay would come out fast, and then they'd fall apart, and then Minnesota would overtake them. But I said it might come down to Chicago and Green Bay seeing who gets the basement, and we cleaned it out. We steam cleaned the carpets. We took our decorations down and left the key under the welcome mat for whichever one of your teams gets last.
I think it'll be the Bears, but we're not done with the season, and I still think Tim's going to look good in a Bears shirt.
I still think you guys. I don't think the Green Bay Packers can beat the Bears right now.
Right.
I think
that defense is so bad.
I'm hoping that they trade Aaron Rodgers at some point.
Oh, they can't afford to trade Aaron Rodgers till like year 3 of that contract because they did so much guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It would be just nice, wishful thinking.
No, but if they keep playing like this, I think there's 3 retirements happening in the offseason. Tom Brady finally retires. Aaron Rodgers will retire because I didn't sign up for this shit. And Aaron Donald will retire because he didn't sign up for that shit. And Dak Prescott throws his second pick of the game, and this might go all the way. Nope, they got him into the red zone on that one.
Oh.
So it's a 7-7 game with 2:28 in the second quarter, and he throws a pick that was 5 yards away from the closest receiver.
Oh, boy.
And it's the same guy, Rudy Ford, got both picks. Who?
Yeah. Rudy.
Wasn't that the guy that had 2 penalties against him for big first downs last week against the Lions? Oh, I guess CeeDee Lamb was there. He just it was tipped at the line. That's what it was. Okay, it was a bad read by the quarterback. He should have lofted it. Not trying to go for the bullet pass. He should have lofted it so it could get there. Put the ball in a position where only your wide receiver can catch it. Isn't that the rule of thumb?
Should be.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do think that as far as we do got I personally, if Aaron Rodgers keeps playing like this, I want the Packers to keep him. I love beating Aaron Rodgers. and actually, if Aaron Rodgers can't even beat the Bears, I mean, don't you want to kind of take that little smirky attitude off Aaron Rodgers' face and just kind of beat him when they play the when they play the Bears next? Because don't they play the Bears one more time?
Okay, wait. Wouldn't you rather see Jordan Love, who throws more picks than Aaron Rodgers does?
Yeah.
He definitely is on a 1-3 interception or touchdown to interception ratio so far in his career as a starter in the NFL.
But if Aaron Rodgers gives us 3 touchdowns every week, I don't care.
He didn't give us 3 touchdowns. He gave us 3 interceptions.
3 interceptions. Yeah, that's what I meant. 3 interceptions. But yeah.
I want to talk to all the Lions fans out there that were trashing Goff when he had his bad game of 12 of 20 for like 170 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. It wasn't a pick six, and we won that game.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost the exact same yardage that Justin Fields did today. The only difference is Justin Fields is mobile.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Justin Fields' legs are.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
He is.
But it falls into what I've said about most mobile quarterbacks. They lack the decision making to move forward. It takes them 2 to 3 years to get there. This is his second season. I'm saying his third season should be where you see a big upgrade, and the fourth season will be when he finally looks like a quarterback throwing the ball. Because look, it's been that way with Lamar.
Yeah, and that's one of the things Vince was saying, that they're actually making the play calling more for Justin Fields to be running,
and that's fine. But he's more of a running back than a quarterback at this point.
Which is fine.
And you agree with that assessment, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, and I get it. But yet, he's still making good decisions downfield. He's still actually making good throws. He's making good completions. This was not a good game for him, making no excuses. But once he got himself out of the pocket and he's actually moving,
he's good.
Good. He can make some throws. He can get where we need to be. And I think he's going to be that quarterback that's going to be exceptional. I mean, how many quarterbacks do you know that can run at least a 4.44 the way he can? He can take off. He can burn the defense. And if they
Lamar,
right,
Josh Allen.
There's only a handful of them in the NFL right now that are that good.
And the other one, and he's scary fast, and I think he's faster than all of them, and nobody gives him credit for it because he tends to fumble a lot when hit. It's Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Right.
I think if you look at Justin Fields coming down the road, I mean, I think it's going to cause a lot of defenses. They're not going to know how to defend him. And I think that's going to be a lot of what we're going to see next year when they finally get the players around him that can actually do good. I mean, they got Claypool in there this year, but that's just a temporary fix. You know, that's just giving.
And then I forgot one, Mighty Mouse in Arizona, Kyler Murray.
I like that name for him. That's cool.
I've always called him Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
But I still like Justin Fields, and I think he's going to be what they need for a quarterback. I mean, he's probably one of the best ones I've seen come down the Bears pipeline in a long time. So I like his odds. I think he's doing better.
I guarantee you 1 year his total yards will be more than any other QB you've ever had. It'll be more than 3,800 yards for the season. It just might not all be through the year.
And that's fine. Take him
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying. Do you know who it was that is the only quarterback that threw for almost 4,000 yards in the Bears' entire league history? Sexy Rexy.
Oh, wow.
That's it. 3,883 yards.
That goes back a minute.
Yeah, it does.
That's the most yards by any QB in Chicago Bears history.
Yeah. I
one
remember
season.
when
now think about that. You guys went to a Super Bowl with Jim McMahon, and he barely broke 3,000 yards. And he had good receivers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he had Walter Payton. And Walter Payton was the X factor all the way around.
And
there will never be one as good as him. Never.
Mm-hmm.
That's my honest, humble opinion. I think Payton will be, to me, one of the greatest that there will ever be for that position. I mean, that's just me. Yeah. I'm partial.
Okay, and Stephen King. I had this up here for a while, but Stephen King did say, "What's up, guys? Great victory."
Yes.
All right.
Awesome
and
win.
It definitely was. DC for life. What's up, guys? Good win. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Not so good for Vince though, because he is a Bears fan, but he does understand. I mean, they not taking anything away because the Bears did give us all that we wanted. But my takeaway in like both these two games is that, and of course the Green Bay game last week and this week's game this week, uh, they had the other team had a chance to win the ball game at the end, but our defense rose to the occasion and stopped them both times.
Yeah, I mean,
So that's
the swing of the game was the missed extra point. Anybody can gripe and say anything else, but it led to that pick six.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Everybody's like saying, "Oh, the pick six was the game changer." I said, "No, that was the result of the game changer. The game changer was the missed extra point."
Yep.
And Green Bay takes the lead
Oh boy.
at halftime. It is now 7-14.
Yeah. But that's only halftime.
I know, but damn it, they need to lose.
I know. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, in the division, they'll still be in third place technically,
Yeah.
but in the overall standings, they won't be.
Mm-hmm.
They're having the kind of year I want them to have, though.
Right.
I said both Minnesota and Green Bay were a 7-11 win team in this division. It just depends on who gets hot when. Well, Minnesota's been hot for a minute, and they're still hot.
Yeah, and then look at all the other teams around them. We got a lot of 6-3 win teams. You got Tampa Bay's there.
Tampa Bay's at win number 4 now because they beat whoever on Thursday.
Yeah,
or this morning. I mean,
this morning they beat the Seahawks.
Yeah, everybody said, "Oh, the Seahawks might win this." I was like, "No, they won't."
No.
Yeah. Yep.
And you got Philadelphia doing their own thing over there. What are they still 8-0, 9-0, something?
8-0. They'll be 9-0 after they beat Washington at home Monday night.
Isn't it something?
Yeah. But wouldn't that be kind of funny if they lost to Washington? I mean, I don't see it happening, but
it could. I mean,
it would be funny. I mean,
it could happen. I mean,
yeah.
On any given Sunday, and this being a Monday, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, Washington's not horrible, but
they're just not great.
Yeah, but they beat Green Bay.
They beat Chicago.
Hey, there's only 2 teams they haven't beat yet in the NFC North: Washington and the Lions, and they won't because they don't play them again this year.
Yep.
Right.
Minnesota and the Lions both beat Washington.
Yep.
And it was a nail biter for Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We went to that I call it the perverted defense, but it's actually labeled the prevent defense in the second half and let them back in that game. We were winning handedly. What was it, 27-0 at halftime?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's one thing I have said way back when. The Lions do not know how to play the prevent defense because they always they always end up breaking. The bend but don't break defense is another name for it. Because
the prevent defense needs good playmakers in the secondary.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We didn't have that.
No, we didn't. So we actually
and one stout linebacker, which we had that, but that means also you got to have a stout D line too to play the prevent defense properly. Because it's a modified dime or quarters defense, they call it, where you put everybody back in coverage and you only have like 4 guys, maybe 5 at most rushing.
So, question for you, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see Detroit next year? Do you think they're still rebuilding? Are they going to get rid of Goff?
That's going to that'll be a question that will be answered at the end of the year as far as for Goff, because I mean he has proven it himself to a extent, but there's still some questions. Are they going to get rid of? I don't see them actually getting rid of Goff. They might get somebody to prepare for when Goff leaves, because eventually he'll leave. But I don't see them getting rid of Goff. I don't think they're. I think we got Goff at least throughout next year. It's very possible they could draft a quarterback to replace him, first or second round. I think if Brad Holmes wants a job, he better have a kick-ass draft. Because if he fails in this draft and there's too many injured players, players that don't produce, even though he has a long contract,
See,
after the third year, there's going to be people calling for his head, and Sheila is.
here's the thing.
Mm-hmm,
I think this draft here, the reason why he drafted the injured players he did, and
Mhm.
he warned us this preseason, but we bought into Hard Knocks. That's the problem.
right.
All the fans bought into Hard Knocks and drank the Dan Campbell spiked Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
He said before Hard Knocks, he goes, this is not the year we're going to be super competitive. This is only the second year of this retool / rebuild, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
We're going to be more competitive than we were last year. Well, guess what? We're sitting at week 10 with 3 wins. We are way more competitive than we were last year. We're right on track for that minimum of wins that I set at that 6 to 10 or 7 to 10 wins.
Mm-hmm.
We're right on track for that because does Chicago think they're going to be able to, with their defense, Vince, do you think they're going to be able to come into Detroit where it's been a hornet's nest for teams for thinking and win?
Yes.
Well, Green Bay couldn't.
I honestly, I'm gonna go. I mean, my gut tells me I'm wrong, but I'm gonna go with my thinking that they're gonna pull it off. I mean, there's a lot of time that's going to expire between then and now, and I think that the Bears will do some rethinking in their plans. I think they're going to come away with the win come January 1st. That's my thinking.
I've said all season long that the Lions were going to go 4-2, and I said that we're going to split with Chicago, we're going to split with Minnie, and we're going to sweep Green Bay, and I see it happening still.
Mm-hmm.
I still think the Bears should come out of it. I'm hoping that the Bears come out of it with a better winning record than the Lions this year, but we'll see. I mean, I'm still going to stay by that. I said the Bears are going to do better than the Lions this year, so I'm still going to stick by it.
Yeah, and DC for Life says, looking pretty good. I don't know if I read that one yet, and he also says, I love this channel. Thank you very much. Yeah, and make sure you guys like and subscribe to this channel. We appreciate it. You can find this channel, of course, on Facebook, Maniac Sports, my YouTube channel. The main one that I use is Tim's Maniac Sports, and also on Twitch TV, Maniac Sports. Either one of these places, please subscribe and like and share this channel. And also check out Jeremy B's channel, too.
Kneecap biting with Smoking Jeremy B. I do 4 shows a week myself, and then I have Let's Talk Sparks Thursday night post-game show, the Sunday morning drive, which is a pick'em show with 2 to 3 other fans from other teams on the Sports Empire Network.
Awesome.
And he's also Jeremy is also a writer for the
Motor City Tribune.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Jeremy, I have to ask you a question to move away from the Detroit Lions for a minute. How about Michigan right now?
Yeah, what can you say about them? You realize this season they have given up a total of, what was it they said the other day? 9 points in the second half while scoring almost 200.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding.
That's national championship quality defense.
You betcha. And the audacity of the selection committee to put Clemson in front of.
As of last week, yeah.
I got embarrassed by that. I mean, and I knew that was going to happen. I mean, Michigan, they're playing too good right now. And everybody's like, well, they only won by a little bit, and they were only running the ball. Okay, so if that's what they were doing, they imposed their will on Nebraska. They only let them have 3 points. They, maybe 140, 150 yards?
That was Blake Corum alone. That wasn't even both running backs.
I know. So, I mean, and then they put, what was the other guy?
Donnie Edwards.
Stroud in there. And Stroud was moving the ball. They got so many people that can run the ball. Edwards and Corum.
Wow. Dallas just tied it up with 8 seconds left.
All right.
So, yeah,
Come on, let's go Cowboys.
I'm really hoping that
I'm not gonna ever say those words.
Yeah. I know it's just oh boy.
Just hearing it come out of a Lions fan's mouth, my ears felt like they're bleeding.
But you know, I mean, the only reason I say that is FTP.
Yeah,
That was
FTP.
that, yeah,
I-
FTP.
Every show that I do, I say, and I'm sponsored by FTP, and I don't mean the florist.
You know what that means, Vince?
Nope, not a clue. What do you got?
Fuck the Packers.
That's a beautiful sentiment. Well,
Yeah.
considering what Aaron Rodgers said about owning the Bears,
Yeah,
I'm happy that they're having a really piss poor season right now. Karma's, yeah.
and did you see the presser after he lost to the Lions? I can't believe I lost to that team.
Then he
Yeah,
also
that's
tried making it say he had a bad day, you know that.
Bad day.
Yeah,
He threw almost as many picks in the game versus the Lions as he did in all of 2021.
I know.
I mean, can't he just for one moment admit that he had a bad game and just admit that the better team walked off the field with the win? I mean, is it so hard for him to do that?
It is. It's
I mean-
impossible for him to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is
really,
impossible for Aaron Rodgers to have a bad game. Oh, my wide receivers didn't catch the ball. Was it? Well, what about when you threw it 6 yards in front of him in the dirt or 5 yards past him to the other player?
Right.
I'll be glad. That
I saw a meme where it showed him being hit by Hutch as he threw the ball up in the air, and he goes, "Screw it, Kirby Joseph is down there somewhere."
Oh, it's too funny.
Man, and that was so funny when Hutch just went ahead and snagged that ball.
By the way, when Hutch got that sack last week,
Mhm.
and Ndamukong Suh tweeted out, "Lions don't lose this guy. This is a special talent.
Mhm.
He is the first defensive lineman, interior or exterior, through 9 games to have 4.5 sacks, 22 pressures, and a pick."
And like I said to Tim, when this all started with Aiden coming over to Detroit, I would have been so mad at Detroit if they would have not picked him in the draft. I would have been so angry because I mean the kid.
You and me both.
Go somewhere. I mean I didn't really want him to go to Detroit, but I mean if he's got to go somewhere, keep him close to home. He's really that good. He's that special of a player. I'm glad that the Lions picked him up. I mean I would have liked to see the Bears have somebody like that, but because I mean he has that monsters of the Midway mentality.
Yeah.
He's just a game wrecker. I've said that from day one about him back when he was playing in Michigan, and he does. He just wreaks havoc on the offensive line that has to deal with him, and so it's good for them.
True. Now I do need to read this one because this is from Stephen King. Aaron Rodgers offseason spiritual cleanse everything except Rodgers' arrogance.
Yes.
I mean,
Well-
that is for sure. He is arrogant SOB.
He's
And
an
then-
arrogant.
Yeah.
And then he also said this.
Yeah. That was nice praise Hutchins got from Sue. Definitely.
Yeah,
I
can't get any better than that.
Mhm.
You know, this week has been such turmoil personally for my life
Mhm.
that I forgot to write my game preview for the paper.
Oh, geez. Oh my God.
Wow.
But it's going to be one hell of a game review.
Oh hell yeah. Oh hell yeah.
I mean, when I watched that first half and then the third quarter started, I said,
Mhm.
here we go. Losing to the athletic quarterback again.
Hmm.
Because it was 100. The third quarter was 100% Fields taking over the game.
Hmm.
And everybody says, oh, you want him on the Lions? I was like, no, he doesn't fit what the Lions personnel is built for. The Lions are built for a game manager QB. You look at how this is with a stout O-line and a decent running game. When everything goes right, a game manager is all they need. What the problem is, the defense isn't built for that type of quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, we're what? Let's say another edge slash DN outside linebacker, another middle linebacker, a safety that can stay on the field,
Mm-hmm.
and a solid cornerback too, away from being a full defense. Would you agree with that assessment?
It's fair. It's fair. But on the other side, how many defenses, no matter how good you put it all together, are designed to stop a running quarterback because you've got too many options on the table.
Well,
And
it's funny you mention that because I'm going to bring up a certain game that happened last season where we modified our scheme just a hair. We ran a wide 9 versus Kyler Murray and didn't allow him to RPO outside the pocket. We reversed the pocket by collapsing it with the DNs and the outside linebackers. What confounded me to no end was changing a defensive scheme that started to work after 13 weeks when you kept 70% of that friggin' roster.
Right. Yeah. They went ahead and totally changed that scheme.
I
And
mean,
it was,
when they first talked about it, they said, yeah, we're going to run some more 4-man fronts. They
mhm,
didn't say they were scheme changing to a 4-2-5.
right.
And then when I found out we scheme changed, I'm like going, what the Sam hell is going on?
Yep. And our defense just went.
Well,
Yeah.
the shocking game for me this week was the Saints losing to Pittsburgh
Yeah.
because they've been god awful on offense. I don't know what happened in that game. I didn't watch it. I haven't even looked at the stat line, but that's the surprising game of the week. And the other one that's surprising is in the afternoon games being played right now.
Mhm.
Indianapolis is leading the Raiders at halftime.
And they just fired Frank Wright, right?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking about Jeff Saturday, whose only coaching experience was a head coach of a high school team that went 3-7.
Yep. And it's not even his day. I mean, it's Sunday. I mean, no.
yeah, well, you look at people changing their scheme and everything else. Look what the Bears did. I mean, not only did they change from a 4-3 to a 3-4, and then they pulled out Raquan Smith, and the other one, they just pulled them right out there and said, well, we're going to trade them off. We're going to get all this draft capital, which is great because we're going to have a good draft season. We're going to have a lot of cap space that most NFL teams don't have. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm used to the Bears being this powerhouse defense, and it's not really looking like the monster.
You are not looking like the monsters
No,
of the Midway.
Exactly.
They look like the toddlers of the Midway right now, if at best, So
I was going to give them a little more credit. Maybe the puppies of the Midway. They haven't quite grown up to those monster dogs they used to be.
Yeah, it's okay. I got my monster over here.
I heard him. That's why I didn't bark. I didn't want him barking back.
Yeah. I guess that wasn't the best thing to do, but I couldn't help myself. Of course, I haven't released the Maniac yet.
Oh, for the whole last 3 minutes of the game, I was pacing. I don't sit when it's a close game because just from last season and all of those real close losses we had, I expect the worst.
Yeah.
So I pace. I pace like a father waiting on a baby is what my roommate said.
Well, let me think here. If you're a Lions fan, that is probably the way you should probably live your life with football.
And it's like when we were at the.
I'm getting used to that as a Bears fan right now. I mean, so.
Oh, please don't make me laugh at you.
Well, I've spent enough time making fun of Tim over the years, because of all the uncertainty that the Lions have had, and I've enjoyed the Bears playing halfway decent for the last how many years, but over the last 5 years, it's been brutal.
I still think it was a mistake to get rid of Mitch Trubisky when you did.
I
think he'd have been a better guy for Fields to learn behind because he's not. He was more athletic than anybody else you picked up last year. I'm not wrong there. I mean, look at what he did in the one game he came in for Allen when he got hurt last year. He won that game.
I mean, he's a quality player, but I don't think he's found the right fit yet.
But your coach was like, I got to do something. So I'm going to sign the Bagewater Pistol and Big Dick Nick. They'll be our starters until Fields is ready. And they watched him play and said, "Okay, you're in, Fields. It's week 5."
And that didn't go very well.
No, I remember his first game against number 1 defense line after what he said in the preseason about, "Oh, this stuff is easy. The NFL moves slow for me." And he damn near came out with a concussion.
Yeah. And of course, the worst thing about Trubisky was that he was just, wasn't his fault, but he's never going to be forgiven for being picked before
Patrick Mahomes.
I mean that was his fault. That was the coach, general manager's fault that did that. But you're not going to.
Honestly, I don't think, because of the way the Bears were being coached at the time, I don't think it would have mattered if they would have got Patrick Mahomes or not. I don't think they would have. I don't think it would have mattered. I think it would have been a bust, because I think that coaching setup, it was doomed. I mean, it just wasn't going to work. I mean, we're now where we are, Eberflus and
Didn't you guys see that surface was modified to look like an old Nintendo, and that was the Tecmo Bowl playbook he used last year? You had the streaks, you had the curls, you had run left, you had run right, and you had halfback dive. That was it.
Sounds like a playbook from high school.
Yeah, it's the Tecmo Bowl eight play playbook, and then punt and field goal formation.
But the one thing that nobody has said up to this point, and I think it's the most interesting thing for the Bears, they're building a team, but a team that's not going to stay in Chicago.
Yeah, it's being moved to that other city down the road where the stadium's being built.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to go there, and I mean, it's about time.
I mean, Soldier Field has been a great experience. When you guys expanded and put that UFO on top of the stadium you got now, it was to help the sound stay trapped in, and it worked, because now it became a louder stadium. But the problem is the rest of it was falling apart, and they never revamped it, and now it's becoming decrepit.
And it's one of the smallest ones in the NFL, seating-wise.
I think you guys are, 62,000 capacity is full? Something like that?
Help me out, because I don't even know what the statistics are on
Ford Field seats 65,000 fans at capacity.
Now, what about Ann Arbor? What is that one seat?
100,000 plus.
The highest attendance I've seen was with standing room was 112,334.
Yeah, see, we can't even compete with that.
There ain't much.
There isn't many in the NFL who can. I think the biggest NFL stadium is at Allegiant for the Las Vegas Raiders, which is probably sitting half empty right now at halftime.
The mayor of Chicago, I mean, are you stupid? You have one of the storied NFL teams in history in your city, and you can't build them a stadium that they want? I mean, who can? Are you stupid? I mean, why wouldn't you go for that? I mean, there's plenty of places in Chicago you could build that stadium. I have family from Chicago. I mean, I can't understand that. I mean, back in 1972, I don't know if you guys remember or even heard the history on that, but in 1972, the Bears were going to originally buy a property in Arlington and move there. But something happened with the NFL rules that caused them to not be able to buy that property, and they kept them in Chicago. And they've been there ever since. But now they're going to go back, and they're going to get that stadium that they want. They're going to move to Arlington, and Chicago is not going to have that prize team.
No, and you know what'll happen, because they've already talked about it. They're talking about expanding the playoffs again, but before it happens, they have to expand the league.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys will move to Arlington and change your name probably to Illinois Bears or whatever, or change the mascot because Chicago may sue to keep the name like Cleveland did.
Yep.
That happens, then Chicago will get a new owner. It finally won't be Hollis.
Yep.
I'm not wrong. Think about it.
Now what happens? Because, I mean,
the problem is who will be that owner? Because only very few people have that kind of money. Are they ever going to let Mark Cuban own an NFL franchise because they tried to say, well, you own an NBA franchise, so we can't let you. Well, Rob Walton is part owner of like 6 different franchises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact he was able to, in his group, was able to buy the Broncos makes that null and void.
Mm-hmm. But are they going to be able to justify that with them wanting to, expand into England? Because, and probably Germany now too. They want to expand over into Europe.
I heard
So
it was 2 teams in England, 1 in France, and 1 in Germany to start, which means that's a whole division.
Right.
Which means you got to make a division in the stateside to counterbalance it, to make it even teams across the league. Otherwise, you're going to end up with that oddball number of teams.
Yep. So there it is. Chicago will get another team.
Yep, and I think Albuquerque will get one because that's where Jeff Bezos wants a team for Amazon headquarters.
All right. Then that'll probably be my second favorite team. I was born in Albuquerque.
And they do have the population to support one and the population growth, not decline.
Yeah.
Another state that could probably support a team is Wyoming, which has had the highest population growth over the past 20 years.
Right.
And then you have Dan Snyder, who has something coming up with the assistant DA of Washington, D.C., the NFL, and that Senate board hearing have a big announcement to make next week about that. So the fact that all of them are involved, it sounds like Dan Snyder's on his way out.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, will Elon Musk buy it?
Come on, can he still afford after buying Twitter?
Oh, yeah, of course he can.
I know. Yeah.
Can Jeff Bezos still afford a team after buying the Thursday Night Football Prime with the dwindling numbers he's having?
Oh,
The first week he had 14 million people watching. The next week it was 11. Lately it's been 7 to 8 million views.
Wow.
And he's paid, when you break it down by the game for that contract, he paid $78 million per game.
Wow.
Whoa. That's a lot of money to lose if you're not getting viewer support.
And wasn't he going to try to buy the Sunday ticket?
Yeah, he was going to try. It didn't work.
And, a sore spot, sort of for my poor Bears, but, somebody brought that up, for a primetime game, you have the Chicago Bears and Washington playing. That's not good for ratings, but, truth. I mean, you got to put quality games on there. You can't put games on there like the Bears and Washington. Really? That's not exciting at all.
The Broncos versus whoever.
Say, you got to have quality games. You got to have the people to watch it. So.
Atlanta versus Carolina, which actually was a way more entertaining game than the Broncos versus whoever than I thought it would be. And nor did I think Carolina would win, but it happened.
Oh,
Wow.
that's all I can say.
Well, I just wanted to hop on. I saw you were on. I got to
I
be on
appreciate
Pike Show here in a little while.
Okay.
I have fun bouncing around, especially on victory days. It's more fun to talk.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is.
I'm not going to lie. It does get old talking about, well, we didn't do this on defense. We didn't do this on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Well,
And
Christian Watson just came up lane again.
uh-oh.
Some
you see that,
Trayvon Diggs fell on his ankle. I think he
the
bruised
Bears
his mangina.
Scored for the day, too. First NFL team to score 29 points, lose 3 straight in a row.
Yep.
That's pretty proud of them.
Wait. I gotta check something because I could have swore there was another team who did something like that to begin the season.
Check it out.
I'm gonna look.
it might not have been in a row that we lost.
Anyway, it goes. I don't really want to fight for titles like that. Or
You're right. Neither do I. But I think at the beginning of the season, there was a certain team that was averaging over 35.5 plus points per game.
Yeah, but I don't think that we did. We didn't lose 3 in a row. Didn't we lose?
No, but they
like
won 1
third
and
of-
lost 2, right? You guys have won 1 and lost 2 now in the last 3.
We've lost 3 in a row.
Wow.
Okay.
3 in a row, scoring 29 points.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, never mind.
Points.
I already
Alright.
seen what I was talking about. Never mind.
I mean,
We won in the middle of that 3-game stretch. We were scoring
Right.
like
We
that.
we beat Washington that.
we're just not doing very good. I mean, right now we got a pretty good dance going in our division. We're going to see who's going to be in the toilet bowl. It'll be Green Bay, Detroit, or Chicago. Somebody's going to be in the basement for the rest of
And
the
we're
year.
all we are all voting that we want Green Bay to be in the toilet bowl.
I want Green Bay to be there. I do.
Yeah,
I mean,
I want to put the moldy cheese in the basement.
it would be nice.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, and if we have to split the season or we have to tie with Detroit for the other honor, so be it. Whatever.
Yep.
I mean, I can live with that, but I really don't want to be. I don't want Detroit to or Green Bay to be that top team.
And I do want to say Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans who are out there. I don't know if anyone on the panel here has served other than me, but thank you for your service.
And
It's been a pleasure. I'm going to hop out.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yep.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
and definitely thank you for your service.
Thank you, Stim.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
All right. So, you think that the Bears are going to be able to turn it around next year, then, right?
I think so. I think next year will be a winning year for them. I think they'll have a winning record next year. They have a lot of draft capital. I mean, it's not going to be great. I mean, they got a lot of draft capital. They've got a lot of cap space. They're going to be able to make a big splash next year with drafting. They're going to be able to do a lot of trades and moving around and get some people in there. On the downside, they're a young team right now. So, I mean, there that is. I mean, and we all know that young teams with inexperience, like he was saying, maybe in 3 years we'll see something more out of Fields.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe next year he'll start coming into his own and things will start turning around. But I still have high hopes for him. I mean, he's a mobile quarterback. I think he's doing things that everybody else is not seeing right now, and I think he's going to do good next year.
Right.
We've seen a lot of flashes in the last 4 games. I mean, he's doing great.
Right. They're like at that edge where we've seen this with the Giants, for years, where they were getting to they're losing a lot of close games, and then at the beginning of the year they started turning this around. And I said, well, that's what Detroit needs to do. And like last couple games we have seen that in Detroit, they started turning it around. This building that Chicago is doing, once they start getting these losses into wins, it could be, it could skyrocket, and who knows what could happen.
But see, I think a lot of that is just a precursor, like I was talking about that stadium that they're buying. They're going to change hands of ownership. That's going to happen.
Right.
Like Jeremy was saying, it's going to happen. Who? We don't know. But they're making this team to sell.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sell a losing team or a team that has no quality. You can't sell it. So you get a new stadium going. You get a quality team that can look decent and have a winning season next year. And then the following year, make it to the playoffs. And then the next year after that, make it to the Super Bowl or win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the goal. I mean, and it's kind of a funny thing. And I wish Jeremy was still here because he's got all these great statistics.
Oh, Jeremy is like, real
good.
A
lot of great statistics. And one of the statistics, if you look at it, it's kind of a funny thing, is how many NFL teams have had their brand new stadium built, and then they end up playing in that stadium for the Super Bowl.
Actually, there was 2 of them.
Say, and that's
that was the last 2 Super Bowls. Well, basically, it wasn't brand. I mean, of course, the one with Rams were, but as far as for home games that were, since the Super Bowl, because like the first couple Super Bowls, it was just like a regular game. I mean, it wasn't all charted to go out. And one of the main reasons is they decided going to a different, to a neutral location, or so that it didn't give one team a advantage over the other. And that's one thing that was brought up with the last two Super Bowls, because you had the Rams, of course, last year where they won, and then of course, and the Super Bowl was at um, their home stadium, and of course Tampa Bay the year before that, and they won. So it's supposed to be a big stage and a big site, but was supposed to be a neutral site when the idea was brought up.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to predict who's
Yeah.
going to win, and it would be a logistic nightmare just trying to switch and say, well, we can't play it there now because that's the home team.
And
So there's no real way to fix that. I mean,
Right.
nice thinking, but
and when I just got to do this to knock the Packers a little bit. Okay, you know how the Packers won the first two Super Bowls, right?
Yep.
Okay, but this I heard from somebody, so there isn't a lot of proof behind the thinking back then, but back then it was close to the merger. It was right. I mean, the Super Bowl era became after the merger. So each, back then your conference games were more like the Super Bowl in the leagues. So this was just kind of like the Super Bowl. The first two of them, they were just like a game after, because the AFL had their championship game, and the NFL, of course, that became AFC and NFC once they once they merged, but they still for a while just kept going for each of their own title, and then finally, I don't know at what point they said, let's make a game, the Super Bowl count and be the master of those two leagues. But I was told before, like the first two Super Bowls were more like a exhibition game. But like I said, I can't prove that.
well, and you have to look at it, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
It probably was kind of like that. I mean, you look at how the game has evolved all the way across the board. The playoffs, everything is always changing, and it's morphing into something better, newer,
Right.
bigger, better, more money. And so, well, I mean, does it make sense? Probably. I mean, you can kind of go with that. I mean, but really look at it. I mean, the NFL is a huge moneymaker.
Yeah.
And are they going to be perfect in everything they do? No.
No.
Are they pretty good right now? Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think there's much more you can do beyond the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Now,
unless you have world championships.
so now okay, well, when did Chicago Bears leave to? Are you still going to follow that team?
Oh, absolutely.
Because you might have a dilemma if, like what Jeremy said, is if they go ahead and they let the team move, but Chicago keeps the name the Bears.
But you can't take away the McCaskey family. You can't take away from the heritage of who they are. You can't take that from them. You can take their name. You can take everything there. But
it's
the
been done
family that owns
before. It's been done before. And
Right,
but of course,
I'm going to support them. I'm still going to support them because they're still going to be that team that has Justin Fields. They're still going to be that team that won the Super Bowl back when. They're still going to be that team. That's not going to change. There's no courtroom. There's no proceedings that's going to take all of that accolades away from the heritage.
But what I'm saying is, what if they do like what they did with Cleveland, and they actually give Chicago under the Bears a new franchise? Because remember, these Cleveland Browns are not the original Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns moved to Baltimore, but the NFL had them leave their name in Baltimore or in Cleveland, and it took like a couple years. The stadium was built by the Cleveland Browns stadium was built by the NFL. So I mean, so you would have a dilemma where if they were not allowed to take the name. Now, I do think that the family would fight to keep the Bears name.
I think they're going to fight, and I think they'll win. Because, like I said, they're going to take all that heritage with them. That's
Right.
not, you can't take that away from them. You can't strip that all away from them.
Right.
It's like when they left Cleveland and they went to Baltimore, they took all of that heritage with them. Everything that they did back then, that all came with them.
But
They
but
can't just-
actually, well, the players went with them, but as far as the records, the stuff like that, it still remains in Cleveland to this day.
That's sad. But like
Because
I said,
because they were not able to take the name the Brown franchise.
but I think it's going to be Arlington Bears. I think the Bears are going to stay the Bears.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that's going to happen.
It's going to be either
I
Arlington
don't
Bears
see
or
the. I think in some ways, but well, and because if Cleveland, okay, if the Browns, okay, let's just say that if Baltimore would have kept the Browns name, then the Browns would have a Super Bowl win. They would have been the Baltimore Browns. But if the Browns, because Baltimore has won the Super Bowl under the Ravens. So the Browns would have had a Super Bowl. Because right now, the only two, and it's kind of weird because the only two original teams from the NFL that has not won the Super Bowl is the Cleveland Browns and the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
Those are the only two. But
And
yeah,
the Bears, I think, will stay the Bears. I think it would be,
I gotta agree with you there. But what would you do if that scenario did happen? And and I'm not
still
saying it's
involved.
going, but if it did happen and the Bears somehow Chicago was able to secure that name, kind of like Cleveland did, would you go with that? Would you follow the franchise to Arlington, or would you just go ahead and?
I'd still follow them to Arlington because they're still the Bears. They're still the team that I like.
Okay, all right.
I'm still gonna follow them.
No matter what they're called and stuff like that.
No, because I think
that's
no matter
fine.
what,
Yeah.
because the McCaskey family is still going to own them
Mm-hmm.
until they sell them, until everything is finalized. They're still going to own them.
Right.
I do not think that they're going to allow them to take that name from them. First of all,
Right.
I don't think so. And I think furthermore, we're looking at a different time for whatever reason. But I think that Mayor Lightfoot made a mistake in Chicago, and I think that's going to it's going to blow up in her face more than what people realize. Because I think, not a very smart mayor, first of all, to let a team like that go.
Yeah. What will it be though if because one of the benefits as far as when Cleveland did lose their team and granted another franchise, the NFL built a brand new stadium for Cleveland at the NFL cost. So, I mean, Chicago could actually, if something like that, even with a different name, all right, if the NFL decides that that Chicago needs a team, all right, and the NFL decides to build a state-of-the-art stadium, then maybe that mayor may not look as bad either.
But I don't think that they're going to do that.
Right.
I don't think that Chicago's going to have an NFL team for some years after the Bears leave.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Chicago's going to do without an NFL team. I really believe that. I don't think anybody else is going to move there. I mean, Jeremy may say different, but I'm going to go with what I think I know on this one. I really think that they're going to be without. The Bears had two NFL teams, or Chicago had two NFL teams, if you remember correctly.
Chicago Cardinals.
Yes. So There was the Chicago Cardinals and there was the Chicago Bears.
Hmm.
Cardinals are gone.
Yeah.
There's not a second team there.
Right.
So I don't think Chicago is designed to hold a football team. Back in 1972, the Bears, if the NFL did not interfere with their new rules, the Bears would have not been in Chicago to this day. So, and I think that there would have not been a Super Bowl in Chicago if that had happened. I think it would have been in Arlington, where it should have been. So, I believe we're going to see them move, and I don't think that there's going to be another team in Chicago for quite a while. I think Chicago blew their chance to keep that team there. They blew their chance to keep McCaskey family there. And I think that the family has been dealing with the hardship of being there with that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
They could have built them a stadium. I mean, they've been stuck there since 1972. How are you not able to build a new stadium in almost 50 years of that team being stuck there? How?
Right.
You've got to be stupid to not be able to do that in 50 years. How? That just blows my mind. You can, like Jeremy said, you can put this dome thing around there, the UFO thing around there. You can keep all the sound in there, make it sound really cool, but at the end of the day, it's still 62,000 people. Big deal. Right. It's decaying underneath. It's garbage. Mm-hmm. You should have got rid of that a long time ago. Instead, you want to keep it? Come on. You got to be kidding me, you know? And if you want to know things that get me excited, that's the one that gets me excited because, I mean, like I said, I have family.
That's what brings out the maniac in you.
Something.
I mean, that is.
It's asinine. I mean, why would you do that? That's just political suicide. It's bad business for your economy. Mm-hmm. You've got this team that is building something special. They've already won a Super Bowl. They've got the opportunity to win another Super Bowl in the next 5 years. I'm sure of that.
Oh, yeah.
So why would you not want to? I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it.
But you know, there's been, I mean, like, okay, Chicago was the Cardinals, then they moved to St. Louis. Then they moved from St. Louis to Arizona. You know, so that was the other team. Of course, St. Louis, you know, the Rams moved from LA to St. Louis, then back to LA.
Yeah.
But it took basically it took a act of them, you know, LA building a stadium that was so drawing, you know, that was so state of the art that it was, you know, one of the best stadiums around, that to bring them back there. And of course LA is, you know, at one time, I don't know if it still is, but they were like the second largest TV market. You know, so but now LA got two teams over there. You know, they went ahead and uprooted and they took San Diego, you know, the Chargers from San Diego. But when you think of LA, who's the first team that you think of?
Rams.
Definitely, you know, because I mean, yeah, the LA Chargers are there, but you're going to think of the team that was originally there. And what was the other team that made a couple cents in LA? Do you remember?
Oh, that was it the Raiders?
Raiders, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they went to LA, then they went from Oakland to LA, then back to Oakland, then to Irwindale, and now they're the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
So.
Sorry, my brain occasionally works when it comes to those memories.
And who was the original team in Baltimore?
Baltimore. Oh, I don't know that one.
Okay. Peyton Manning used to play for that team. What team did they? Okay, the Colts, Indianapolis Colts.
Was it the Colts?
The Colts, yeah, and I actually think that they might have moved their. I mean, you would have been very, very low because they moved there way before. I think at least a couple of years before I met you, because I remember I was still in East Broadway neighborhood when they moved there. So
That has been a minute ago.
yeah, it's been
We're getting old.
yeah. Wow,
That's
yeah.
about 40 years ago there, bub.
I know. Gosh, I I still remember Jim. How Jim always used to do that Vulcan sign.
The what?
Remember Jim always used to do that Spock sign.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he talks like a chipmunk.
Yep.
Oh God. Oh. Well, is there anything else you want to add to the show?
Not much. I mean, I think we've talked about everything else. I'm still hooked on the chances for Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, I think they got a shot at the championship this year, so we're going to see.
Right. Did you ever see those Wolver Lion shirts?
No, I have not.
Okay. Mike. Well, I know you're not a Lions fan. Mike from Lions on the Prowl. Coach Mike Jones. He has a shirt that's called that he sells. That is part Wolverines and part Lions.
Ah, cool.
And they're pretty cool.
You have to get one and show me.
Yeah.
Oh, and if I'm going to add something to the cast, because at some point I'll do something with this next year, because I like doing a lot of cycling.
Mm-hmm.
My 2 cents. People need to get a bicycle and get out there and ride. Whether you ride a half a mile, 100 miles, get a bicycle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bicycle clubs out there. The numbers have dwindled over the years. I'd like to see those numbers get back up. And I'm going to kind of take some notes from like people like yourself and Jim and Jerry that was on here, and maybe I'll do something with cycling, down the road.
I mean, we could even do something to get. See one thing when I created, Maniac Sports, it was supposed to be for other sports too, and feel free to post anything that you want on my YouTube channel or my Facebook channel, Facebook page. Well, actually, I have a page and a group, Facebook group about cycling, and it's just Maniac Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feel free. I mean, you can post, to try to get people interested. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing that I enjoy the most, and that's I like football and I enjoy it, but I don't probably spend as much time with football as I used to. I mean, I spend a lot of time on my bicycle. It's colder now, so I'm on a trainer on the inside now.
Right.
And I look at the TV screen with this beautiful scenery on it, and it gives me all these really cool numbers and yada yada yada. But I'm trying to get ready for next year because next year I'm going to try to do this ride across Iowa. It's called RagBray.
Okay.
And there's a whole history behind RagBray. It's a rolling party for cyclists. Literally thousands of people show up for this. It's a week-long ride of almost 500 miles. You ride anywhere from 50 to 100 miles a day. Food vendors everywhere. I mean, it's just a big rolling party. You camp outside the whole time you're out there. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. So.
All right. Okay. Well, with that, so that would be more or less your final thoughts. Okay.
Hey, it's a wonderful thought. Compared to what the Bears did today, I'd rather be thinking about riding a bicycle because apparently they don't even know how to ride a bicycle right now because they can't win.
Right. But, okay, my final thoughts in this show is going to be this is the second week that the Lions have won a game and against a divisional opponent. Last week, I tried to I tried celebrating it with a Packer fan at work, kind of rubbing in because he's been rubbing everything into me all year long about the Lions. So I kind of took my joy away from the win. But, back at you, Mr. Michael, because hey, we won two in a row, and we beat you this year, and FTP all day long. Go Lions! One pride.
You
All
betcha.
right. Yep. All right. Good night, everybody. Like and share the show for sure. And